Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Thank you.
Hey, folks, today is Monday, July 29, 2024. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. I am here at the Detroit Golf Club, where Jalen Rose is having the 14th annual Jalen Rose Golf Classic benefiting the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, his charter school here in Detroit. You will hear from Jalen a little bit later. Also, a couple of the students who are participants in his academy. We'll have that for you as well. On today's show, President Joe Biden was in Austin commemorating the 60th anniversary of the signing of the Civil Rights Act. We'll show you what he had to say. We'll talk about Vice President Kamala Harris preparing for her trip to Atlanta tomorrow as she continues to make the case why she should be the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. Howard University are focusing on what are black voters thinking. We'll talk to Dr. Greg Carr about that. Also on today's show, folks, some sad news. Alma Powell, the wife of Colin Powell, the widow of retired General Colin Powell, passed away at the age of 86. And man, I was shocked and stunned when I got the news that my girl, my buddy, Erica Ash, passed away at the age of 46 last night after battling cancer for the last 18 years. We'll have our tributes to both of them, including my interviews with them on TV One. Also, we'll hear from Master P and Ben Crump, who I talked to at the National Urban League Convention in New Orleans. It is time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, welcome to Roland Martin Unfiltered here on the Black Star Network. I'm live from the Detroit Golf Club where Jalen Rose is holding his annual golf classic, the 14th annual, for his Leadership Academy, his charter school here in Detroit. We'll hear from him a little bit later in the show. We'll start off, though, with President Joe Biden calling for significant changes to the Supreme Court, including term limits as well as massive reform. Of course, this has been called for by lots of progressives. Many of those say he falls short because they say he should be expanding the Supreme Court. Joining us right now is Stasha Rhodes. She's campaign director for United for Democracy. She joins us right now. Stasha, glad to have you here. Walk us through the reforms that President Joe Biden is proposing. Look, a lot of people not happy with the Supreme Court. They feel as if they're extremely hardcore right-wing, ideological, and so therefore folks have been calling for reform. And then we know, of course, what has happened when it comes to the gifts. Some $5 million going to Supreme Court justices the last 20 or 30. Clarence Thomas has gotten $4 million of those gifts, and then not reporting flights, yacht trips, things along those lines. So many folks have said that reform for the Supreme Court is long overdue.
Roland, thank you so much for having me, and most importantly, thank you for covering this important issue. We are excited. United for Democracy is excited about the president's announcement for reforming the Supreme Court. We believe it's a vital step towards ensuring a court that truly reflects the values and needs of the American people and not just the wealthy few. For too long, the integrity of this high court has been compromised by undue influence and partisan maneuvering. And so President Biden's commitment to reform is, for us, a testament to his dedication to restoring faith in our democratic institutions. As you mentioned, it is no secret that today's court is too biased, corrupt, and way too powerful. In recent years, the court has overturned long-standing precedents that protect our fundamental freedoms. This court has gutted civil rights protections, taken away a woman's right to choose, and now granted presidents broad immunity from prosecution from crimes they commit in office. At the same time, ethics scandals involving the justices in this supermajority have caused the public to question the fairness and independence that are essential for a court to faithfully carry. So these reforms are welcome. You mentioned the president's reform. He has three. He just gave a speech in Texas at the LBJ Library, and the three reforms are no immunity for crimes a former president commits in office. The president has said that the founders believe that the president's power is not limited. Is limited, and so it's really important that we're able to sort of ensure that no one is above the law. The second is term limits for Supreme Court justices. Congress approved term limits for the presidency over 75 years ago. We believe that it's possible for Supreme Court justices as well. And then finally, a binding code of ethics for the Supreme Court. I would like to say just a second about court expansion and other reforms. I think it's really important for folks to understand that there are a number of reforms that have been on the table for quite some time. It's not just court expansion. There are several others. We believe that this, though, is a step in the right direction. The Supreme Court, the issues we face with this court, we are facing multifaceted problems that will require a package of reforms, not just one. Require package of reforms, and advocates should continue to push for a number of those. But we believe that this, from the president, is a sea change and allows us the conversation on a national stage to talk about why this is important.
Well, and again, when we talk about ethics, I mean, you've had Supreme Court Justice Lady Kagan say,
Can't.
Oh, absolutely. No problem. Sasha, how are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Awesome. This is Ome Congo, the Benga, guest host of Roland Martin Unfiltered and Monday panelist as well. I was listening to Biden's speech, and one of the questions one of the things that I learned was that this idea of term limits, is it something that it's not a new idea? This is something that kind of happens with every presidential administration throughout the years. So can you talk to the fact that people are acting like this is a novel idea when this is something that has always been proposed in some way, shape, or form?
Well, it's certainly not new, and I think I would go a step further and say that it's popular. Recent polling shows mounting support for term limits. The American people are not in favor of justices serving lifetime terms. And for many administrations, advocates across the judicial space have been asking for Congress to enact term limits to ensure that we have an opportunity to rotate justices and ensure that we have justices who are able to meet the current moment and are able to sort of judge in a modern time. And so it's not new, but most importantly, the American people want it. We're seeing mounting evidence of that.
And so, Sasha, what do you think about those of us who have been saying this is good? Like, everybody is down for these particular reforms, but some are just like, yo, can we get the hookup on the court expansion? I mean, do you feel like this is something that we know Biden's not going to suggest it, but do you feel like this is something that is just going to be completely off the table going down the line? And what is the position of your organization on this?
Yeah, look, I think right now we have to sort of understand this in a couple of phases. One, the president is a known institutionalist. He has been not the quickest to critique the Supreme Court, and certainly not the quickest to offer up structural reforms to our democracy, and particularly the Supreme Court. And so this is a big deal for the president to use his platform to say, yes, not only should we do this, but Congress has the authority and the ability to reform the Supreme Court. For us, this opens the door for us to talk about why the Supreme Court is an issue. The justices are a problem, but the structures of our democracy are not meant to work in 2024, and so we should structurally reform and change it. And now we have a national conversation about why that is possible and why it needs to happen. The president's reforms, his announcement today, opens the door to have that conversation. And so advocates who have bigger, deeper, bolder ideas should continue to beat the drum on those reforms and should see this as an opportunity to add more things to the president's package. This is his first step. This is his sort of, I think, door-opening opportunity for all of us to say, and what about these things too? But right now, we are excited about the three reforms that he's offered up because these are not low-hanging fruit, I should say. These are pretty important reforms that will take a lot of work for us to pass. But to your point, there are a number of us who believe in not just court expansion, but things like jurisdiction stripping, so ensuring that the Supreme Court is not taking the power of other branches of government. We're seeing them do that. We're seeing the Supreme Court make decisions that take power away from Congress. In this last term, they have taken power away from the executive branch. And so we also believe in reforms that take that power away and really ensure that we have a Supreme Court that works for the American people, but also allows the other branches of government to govern as well.
And so my last question for you is, do you feel like, I mean, we know Speaker Mike Johnson said this is dead on arrival, blah, blah, blah. Do you really feel like there is any possibility that maybe there are some potential Republicans who maybe are seeing what's going on in their own districts? You know, is there any possibility that this could actually get some form of Republican support, even if it's not enough to make the changes needed? But do you think it's a complete unanimous decision? Is really dead on arrival?
I don't know. I will phrase my answer in a different way and say that if we all get out and vote in November, we have the opportunity to create a governing moment where a robust, comprehensive package of reforms will be on the table in a real way. And President Biden has opened the door for that. We know that Vice President Harris supports these as well. The ultimate way to make these a reality is to show up in November. And I think we have to start telling people that. We have to start talking about what you are voting for. We're asking people to show up in large numbers, and that's good, but we have to tell them why it matters. And it matters because if you are able to have a governing society, these packages are not dead on arrival. We have a real opportunity to pass reforms to the Supreme Court and change this democracy and strengthen it for a lifetime.
All right, folks. Well, Latasha, look, this is a critical issue, and we'll certainly see if Congress moves on it. Certainly Republicans don't want to do that. But this is a major issue for Democrats, and it should be something that's talked about when it comes to the election. So we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
All right, folks. Here's President Joe Biden today in Austin at the Lyndon Baines Johnson Presidential Library.
I was in college at the University of Delaware in my early beginning years when I heard the news that President Kennedy had been assassinated. I remember exactly like anybody in my generation remembers exactly where they were sitting, standing, or walking. I was on the steps of one of the university halls called Hullion Hall at the university, listening on transistor radio with 3 other people. It seemed unbelievable. And then, later watching President Johnson help the nation find a way forward. In his first address after the tragedy, President Johnson said, and I quote, "Nothing could more eloquently honor President Kennedy's memory than the earliest passage of the Civil Rights Bill." That's what he said. As a kid coming up, I always admired President Johnson for his public service, whether it was as a school teacher in South Texas, a master of the United States Senate, historic vice president and president. His philosophy was simple. In a great society, no one should be left behind. He'd say, It's time for us to come to see that every American gets a decent break and a fair chance to make good. And as Andy Young said, President Johnson met repeatedly with the civil rights leaders and built a coalition to bring that vision to life. And he did. He brought it to life. Over 50 years, the LBJ Foundation has convened this symposium to reflect one of the crowning achievements, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, a defining moment that has since opened doors of opportunities for all Americans, regardless of race, sexual orientation, gender identity, religion, national origin. Together with the Voting Rights Act and the Fair Housing Act, these three landmark laws he signed are remarkable in their scale and their scope. Taken together, these three acts have made this nation fundamentally more fair, fundamentally more just, and most importantly, fundamentally more consistent with our founding principles. For real. And we're a better nation because of them. We must be clear. Their work, our work, is not done. It's not done. We do not celebrate these laws as part of our past, but as critical components of our future. President Johnson understood what President Lincoln understood in his own time, that the courts would determine the scale and scope of our laws. Over 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, President Johnson vowed, in his words, to do this job that Lincoln started, by challenging the court to live up to its constitutional responsibility. He did that by nominating Thurgood Marshall as the first black justice of the Supreme Court. And by aggressively defending civil rights.
All right, folks, that was President Joe Biden. We live streamed that particular speech. So if you want to see the full speech, go to Black Star Network app. You can also, of course, go to our YouTube channel. All right, folks, let's talk about this with our panel, of course, joining us right now. Anita Shannon, former Georgia State Representative. I'm Congo Domingo Senior, Professor of Lecturer, School of International Service, American University. Dr. Julianne Malveaux. Of course, she joins us as well, President Emerita Bennett College. Julianne, we talk about, obviously, Civil Rights Act critically important. Then we talk about what Biden said today when it comes to court reform. I mean, listen, Republicans have always run on the court. Democrats have not. They have not focused on it. The reality is the state of the Supreme Court, the federal judiciary, is vitally important. What progressives have better understand, if Donald Trump wins in November, they're going to attack this court hard right. You're likely going to see 2 conservatives retire, potentially 3. And if that happens, they will absolutely control the Supreme Court for the next 50-plus years.
Well, you're absolutely right. They'll find much younger justices, probably in their 40s, like Amy Coney Barrett. They'll find younger justices who have an opportunity to stay on the court longer. They'll find more conservative justices with no possibility of swaying them, as they've occasionally been able to do with the Chief Justice, or recently on a couple of occasions with Coney Barrett. So they will own the court. And the fact is that, in seeing Hillary talked about the court, people didn't care, or people didn't get it. They didn't connect the dots. And so now here we are with 6 hard right justices, a couple of whom can occasionally be swayed, but hard right justices. And so we can look at, we're talking about the Civil Rights Act, but we can also talk about Justice Uncle Thomas, who has already opined at OSHA, the organization, Safety Health Administration, that he thinks that's an illegal agency. After Chevron, we expect to see more administrative agency attacks. And let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about abortion. Let's not talk about LGBTQIA rights. He talked about the fact that that is a law that could go back. So I don't care what people think about. You have a few. They don't want Kamala. They say they won't vote for her. Vote for yourself, fool. Vote for yourself, because this Supreme Court is not for human rights, it's not for Black rights or women's rights or gay rights or any rights. They are for the rights of predatory capitalists and for consolidating the power of the autocracy.
And look, Renita, Renita, the reality is here. What this court has done, this court has, we talk about overreach. I mean, in the case of the Dobbs case, in that particular case, the Mississippi law wasn't even asking for Roe v. Wade to be overturned. They went just, we're going to go ahead and do it. The same thing in the Trump immunity case. They are not even looking at the existing case in front of them. They are creating and coming up with hypothetical situations by which they rule.
How the Supreme Court has been acting more like lawmakers instead of folks who are supposed to interpret the laws that have already been passed by actual lawmakers. And so you're right, they are coming up with hypothetical situations in order to move their will through the court. And so that's why, you know, I do think that for a lot of people who are having hesitation about the switch in nominee for Democrats, I think that this is a really good moment for new presidential nominee Vice President Harris to really talk about what will be her vision for the Supreme Court. We know that when we, were trying to press President Biden to expand the court, we were met with, no, I'm not even going to think about that. And that was not something that he was wanting to do. I'm hoping that now we can really double down on what needs to be done with the Supreme Court. In addition to the reforms that we heard about today, we also need more reforms similar to what you were talking about, which is justices not being able to just overturn constitutional precedents just with a stroke of a pen. There needs to be a much higher bar for them to overturn these constitutional decisions that have been made a long time ago that many laws today really do take their backing from.
Congo?
Look, I'm the type of person who has often said, don't just be a single issue voter. But to be quite honest, on this election, we need to be single issue voters and voting on the courts, which is what Republicans have always done. Because the courts have put their finger on the scale of every single other issue. So whether we're talking abortion, whether we're talking everything Dr. Malvo already said, if we make the courts the issue, it automatically deals with everything else we've been looking at, from student loans to affirmative action. The list goes on. And too many times over the years, the Democrats, people within the Democratic voting bloc have often not dedicated enough sophistication to understanding that it is all about the courts. Look at Biden's appointments, and look at Trump's appointments below the Supreme Court, and things that we're going to have to fight for decades. So as much as it's terrible what the Supreme Court has done, the good thing that can come out of it is that at every age range now, from teenagers, people voting for the first time, to the elderly, people are finally putting the laser focus on the courts that Republicans have been doing for decades. And it's only going to be worth it if we get the people into power who are going to be able to do things like codify Roe v. Wade and usher in the Supreme Court reforms. So let's take this attention and actually do something with it come November.
Absolutely. All right, folks, hold tight 1 second to go into a break. We come back. We're going to keep talking about presidential politics. What are comedians saying about what's happening in the political space? We'll chat with comedian Earthquake. Also on today's show, folks, we'll continue. Lots we're talking about. The Jalen Rose, of course, Golf Classic here in Detroit. We'll talk about what he's doing when it comes to charter schools and helping kids here. You also will remember Alma Powell, of course, who was very much involved in public service, and she, of course, the widow of General Colin Powell, and actress Erica Ash, shocking, dying, battling cancer for 18 years. She passed away last night at the age of 46. We'll remember them as well. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, Dave.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Listen up, King of R&B, Raheem Devon.
It's me, Sherry Shepard, and you know what you're watching.
You're watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
All right, y'all, Donald Trump has weaseled out of the September 10th debate on ABC, saying, oh, well, you know, Democrats, we don't know what's going on. Well, Vice President Kamala Harris has said, all right, Donald, I'm showing up. So I'm going to be there on September 10th, whether you come or not. I think, Renita, this is a brilliant move by Vice President Kamala Harris. It is to show Donald Trump as a coward. Great, smart move.
Absolutely. And the thing with this is, I think one of the main reasons that he doesn't want to show up is because they don't know what their new campaign message is. They have been talking this entire time about this being a race between the strong and the weak, talking about how weak Biden was in comparison to Trump. And now that Kamala is going to be the nominee, that framing doesn't work. She's younger than him. She's had more experience, I would argue, that actually applies to the job. She has the stamina. She's smart. And she's ready to go right now. And so I think that, you know, the framing that they have, that he has run his whole campaign on has now gone down the drain. And I think that's why he doesn't want to do the debate. The other thing is they spent so much money running all of these ads against Biden and spending all this money campaigning against Biden, who is no longer the nominee. So, I mean, we're seeing it everywhere. You know, folks are pointing out that the Trump campaign is scrambling. Trump himself is scrambling because of the because of the interest around what a Kamala presidency would look like. People are interested to see her campaign. People are interested to try to hit the reset button here and bring back the coalition that was slipping away under Biden being the candidate. So he should be afraid.
Well, absolutely, and I must say, Congo, look, it's great to stand there. Remember when Clint Eastwood talked to the chair at the Republican National Convention in Tampa in 2012? That's what Vice President Harris should say. Matter of fact, what she ought to do is get a Donald Trump dummy and dress it up as a chicken and stand it there and say, he was too chicken to come here.
I think that would be amazing, right? And we know that, you know, some people say you stay petty so you don't have to get petty. I don't think she'll be petty enough to do it, but I would love to see it. But, look, the optic of Donald Trump not showing up and giving her the opportunity as a prosecutor to have the largest eyes that will be on this campaign between now and the election, and to just give her an opportunity to freestyle that joint or just answer questions from the moderators, that would be a death knell for the Trump campaign. And so he has no choice. I think he's going to play it because, look, he's hungering for ratings right now and attention. So I think that he was planning to drop out, but I think he's also going to play this out a little bit to keep his name in the news. Will he or won't he? Will they or won't they? And then, show up with the lowest expectations ever. Just not, as Hillary Clinton said, just don't light himself on fire. And people say that he had a presidential style debate and he was great. And that's what he's going to do. So I feel like he's going to show up, but I would just love the opportunity for her to just sit there and prosecute an empty chair, or Trump dressed up as a chicken, some type of physical display of that as well.
Absolutely. Julianne, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I think your idea about the chicken is funny, brilliant, ain't going to happen. Kamala has too much class. She's not going to stoop to his level, and his level is pretty low. I do think that he may or may not show up for a debate. She'll wipe the floor up with him, and that's why he doesn't want to come. They basically completely upended the Trump playbook in terms of what they were planning to do. They were planning to ridicule Biden as old and slow, et cetera. And now they can't say any of that about Kamala. He's been name-calling. He's been on a name-calling roll. I think he called her garbage one day, a bum the other day. Really just all-time low. But where's the contrast on the issues? And if he doesn't show up, Kamala will have a stage on McConnell's right, and she will shine brilliantly for that 90 minutes that they have reserved for debate. But if he does show up, she's still going to wipe the floor up with him and use those 90 minutes to make the contrast that we need to make. It's not about all this little silliness. It's really about the issues. As we said earlier, it's about the Supreme Court. It's about presidential power. It's also about the Department of Education and Project 2025. There's so many things that she can deal with him that he's lying and saying he doesn't know anything about Project 2025. Half of his prior cabinet has contributed to it. He's lying, but then, why are we surprised that Mr. Trump lies? That's his. That's what he does. So I'm looking forward to September.
But here's the deal, though, Julianne. I'm gonna go to Congo here. I gotta disagree with you. And I think this is the problem that Democrats make. Democrats go, "Oh, it's about the issues. It's about the issues." No, it's not. Here's the deal. You have to sometimes recognize that if you lock and load on issues, it's also about style. It's not always about substance. And I think they have to mock him. They have to belittle him. They have to call him out, because if you only focus on issues on Congo, then it's like, well, okay, fine. Donald Trump is doing all this other stuff and he's loud and whatever. No, you have got to rip into him at every turn. And again, I just think if you only make it about the issues, then you're doing the traditional thing. They got to just constantly hammer him on everything on Congo.
Yeah, I feel that, because these guys are running dirty campaigns. And look, it's not like we're saying we got to go deep and to go really like ignorant and disrespectful in the name, but it's fair to call out everything, relating to age, everything relating to they've taken over the last few days to calling what they're, how Trump and J.D. Vance are acting weird and it's just very weird. And people are like, oh, that's cute. But no, call it racist, call it ignorant, call it homophobic, call it anti-Semitic, call these, call them what the actions that they're doing, call it deplorable, call what they're doing, they're representing the lowest of the low. Donald Trump is trying to maintain his financial freedom and his personal freedom by running for president. So he's going to do everything possible. And if Democrats just stick to the issues and keep coming off as looking too nice, they're going to look like people who are not ready to fight. So look, I'm not saying they need to come up and make up a whole bunch of things like J.D. Vance did about, the cat ladies and all this other type of stuff and children, people without kids and all that other type of stuff, but they cannot just stick to the issues. And I think especially with these younger folks who are coming into the electorate, they want to see people who are willing to fight for them, because they've seen people in both sides of the party on different levels denigrate them as uninvolved and so on and so forth. So get out there and fight back hard. And you can do it in a way that isn't stooping down to their level, but you don't have to try to act as like this, like high and mighty. This is a fight. This is a guy who said over the weekend that this could be the last election. He said to Christians, just vote for me and you won't have to vote again. Fight for that. Call that out at every single level. You got to do that. And people want to see that strength. I'm with it.
Well, and listen, what he did, Renita, he called her low IQ, called her trash and all kind of stuff. And so we know what he's going to do. And so, again, I think you have to mock him. I think you have to belittle him. You can still focus on issues, but if you only if you only make it about issues, remember, during the debate, did President Biden talk about issues? Yes. Did Trump lie 30 times? Yes. Who did they say won the debate? The lie.
It's about both. And Kamala does have to deal with the issues because she's in a different position than what President Biden was in. She's got 100 days to go ahead and reintroduce herself to the voters. You can't just assume that Kamala's going to have the exact same policies that President Biden had. She has a chance to set her own agenda, her own policies, and to make known what she wants to campaign about. So, but you're right. It's about both. She's got to lead with the issues, and she got 100 days to communicate what she is actually going to do. But then also the style of it, the way she communicates the issues, has to make people feel like she is going to fight for them. And a part of that is being able to take on characters like Donald Trump. I think Trump is so scared, the things that he's saying about Vice President Harris, talking about her laugh, calling her low IQ and all this stuff. That's all he has. None of it is sticking because people know that it's not true. And I think all of this kind of backs up to why the last thing that he wants to do is show up to a debate and debate her, because everybody will see for 90 minutes that she knows what she's talking about. She will get a chance to talk about the issues, and she'll get a chance to say it in a way that lets Donald Trump know she's not playing with him.
Well, and Julianne, we've already seen how her campaign has been far more aggressive than President Biden's campaign was in terms of mocking him, in terms of calling him an old 78-year-old convicted felon. So they've been doing that, and my whole deal is keep it up.
I think that she does have to lead with the issues. I think, however, she can mock him. She can minimize him. When you talk about a 74-year-old getting ready to spend some time in jail, just minimizing him, make the people feel sorry for him or something. So if you really want to send, I think the issues, I don't disagree with either of my fellow panelists. I simply think that the issues are her strong suit. She is a prosecutor. She's well versed in these issues. She's not identical to Biden by any step of imagination. Go Netanyahu about Gaza. You would never see President Biden doing that kind of thing. And then the orange man, Temerity, say she was disrespectful to Netanyahu. Well, somebody needs to be, given what's going on, and she wasn't disrespectful. She just stated the facts that he did not want to hear. But she's got to lead with issues, but I think there are lots of ways to contrast style. Trump is blustery, braggadocious. She's elegant. And Omicron, we can be above it. We can be above it all. She doesn't have to get down in the mud with him to put him in his place. So and what she projects to me as a Black woman is an elegance, is a style. And I think that when you contrast the two, some elegant woman who basically brushes him off like a fly, like a little fly that sat on her shoulder, bye, 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 bye. I think that when you contrast that with this blustering buffoon who talks loud, who talks over people, who tells lies every minute, I think even Ray Charles is different.
I got you. Listen, Julia, I got you on all the elegant stuff like that. But listen, when you in a fight, you got to be in a fight. And I get it. Yes, she has to speak to issues, but you got to punch that bully in the mouth. And you got to keep punching his ass in the mouth and keep punching him, because the reality is there are people who also vote based upon strength, who's a fighter. And you got to show that as well. So you got to show all of that. Let me go to a break. We come back more on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. We're live here, the 14th annual Jalen Rose Golf Classic, benefiting the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy of the Detroit Golf Club. We come back. We're going to hear from Jalen Jalen last night. He had the party, of course, and so I'm going to see if we can actually try to grab him and catch him live as well. And so we'll try to do that. So lots going here. Plus, we'll also hear from Master P, Ben Crump. We'll talk to the National Urban League, and we'll remember Alma Powell and actress Erica Ash, both who passed away. Folks, you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support us in what we do. Be sure to join our Brina Funk fan club. Send your check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
Coming soon to the Black Star Network.
I still have my NFL contract in my house. I have it in a case. It's 4 of them, for my 4-year contract. I got a $600,000 signing bonus. My base salary for that first year was $150,000. Matter of fact,
$150,000.
$150,000. That's what I made. $150,000. Now think about it. My signing bonus was a forgivable loan, supposedly. When I got traded to the Colts, they made me pay back my signing bonus to them. I had to give them their $600,000 back.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so pissed. Because, I try to be a man of my word. I'm like, you, I'll give you your money back. Even though I know I earned that money, I gave them their money back. I gave them their $600,000 back. But yet, I was this malcontent. I was a bad guy. I'm about the money. It wasn't about the money. It was about doing right. Because I looked at, because you look at contract. Look at John Elway. John Elway was making $1 million, $800,000. I was making $150,000. I was doing everything. And I'm like, but yet I was, I got so many letters, so I just play for free and all that kind of stuff. You don't forget that kind of stuff.
Right.
That stuff is hurtful.
Good job, good pay, good life. Would you be willing to walk away from it to achieve real wealth? Well, that's exactly what this woman did, and boy, did it pay off.
Once you make the decision that this is the direction that you're going to go in, I do believe that there's power in having a decided heart.
Hear her story on The Next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, on Black Star Network.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
On A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie. How are you being of service to others? Doing for someone beside yourself is such a big part of living a balanced life. We'll talk about what that means, the generation that missed that message, and the price that we're all paying as a result.
Well, now all I see is mama getting up in the morning, going to work, maybe dropping me off at school, then coming back home at night. And then I really didn't have any type of time with the person that really was there to nurture me and prepare me and to show me what a life looked like and what service looked like.
That's all on A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, here at Black Star Network.
Curl Prep Natural Hair Solutions at curlprep.com.
I'm in shock.
For curls, locks, braids, twists, and even those wigs and extensions. Women, men, and children are loving this line. Look at this video and you be the judge. People line up to see this product in action at hair shows, and when they take a seat and try it, they don't believe it's their hair. Buy the products at curlprep.com. It works on all hair types. Use code ROLAND, that's ROLAND, lowercase letters, to get a 15% discount. Parents, remove the ouch. You will love this system because you can comb the product through your child's hair with your fingers. It's all at curlprep.com. Use code ROLAND, lowercase letters, to get a 15% discount.
Farquhar, executive producer, Proud Family. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, Roland Martin here. We are live in Detroit Golf Club for the 14th annual Jalen Rose Golf Classic. It benefits the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, of course, his public charter school here in Detroit, serving 400 students, more than 1,000 alumni. It has been an amazing day. Had some storms for about an hour earlier, but it cleared up. An amazing day. We're going to be grabbing Jalen in a second. He's making his way over here. So do y'all have it queued up? So last night we had the pairing party at the MGM Grand in the Top Golf Suite, where Jalen introduced a new principal of his school, and she talked about her vision of leadership for the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. Here it is.
Like I was crazy. Like, what is he doing? I'm saying what up, dog? They thought I was bugging. Well, we put on for the city. That's what we do. I just want to thank you guys for being here. This is our 14th annual. And the one thing about being in the city of Detroit, this is a labor of love. Those of us who work here, live here, want to be here. Those who got on airplanes, car services, checked in a hotel, took extra effort to be here. I'm very grateful for those that did such. And this is an amazing gathering of human beings because I've noticed something. I used to get upset about the coverage that we don't get. That might be my theme music. I used to get upset about the coverage that we don't get, and then I realized something. There's a reason why we don't get that coverage. Because this is a charity that makes it to the hood. So it don't matter who's president, it don't matter what is happening in life, we're still here to give back to our community. And I'm just so very grateful for all of you for being here. I want to first acknowledge all of our great sponsors, all of our great partners, because we're open enrollment, we're tuition free, we're public charter, we get zero state funding for our facility and for our athletics. Zero. So the time, the energy, the money that you give to us is paramount. There's a statistic that says public schools won't have sports in 20 years. The state of Michigan, the city of Detroit, is still playing basketball without a shot clock. Wow. Just think about that. I go to games, it's like 24-20. Like somebody get up 4 points, it's like 4 corners. Carolina kind of did that against us too. That's another topic for another day. Right? Just passing the ball around, right? And so the time, the energy, and the money that you spend is very valuable to us. I want to thank our JRLA staff. Please give it up to them. Because they're educating young people, they're enriching young people, they're babysitting young people. Like, I almost feel like they should get a salary for teaching and babysitting. You all agree? Okay. So I'm forever grateful. To each of our board members, thank you very much. Our founding members. Michelle Rossetti Miller, where is she? Thank you, Michelle. She's the best. Nobody has ever talked to me without talking to Michelle at some point. Because she's going to make sure she's my gatekeeper, and I need that. Thank you. Also, I want to do something that's extra special. I want to do an introduction. I want to introduce you guys to a human being that I feel like is going to revolutionize education. Somebody that's very disciplined, somebody that's very passionate, somebody that's very hardworking, and somebody that's Gerald Lay's new principal. So please welcome Jasmine Allen. Please give it up for her. Give her love, give her love, give her love. Give it up, give it up. And so here's the thing. You can talk about it or be about it. And this young lady got the job at the end of May. Hit the ground running in June. And you don't have to ask me. You can ask her staff. She's focused, she's ready to be a game changer in urban education. So I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being here. And say hello to your endorsers, your donors, your scholars. Roland Martin got on the airplane, looking, sitting front row, no socks on, his handsome on. Just did a fundraiser that just raised like $5 million for Kamala Harris or something crazy. You know what I mean? So again, Jasmine, we thank you, we're grateful for you, and say hello.
Hello. Jalen and Michelle were very clear about what I can and cannot say. I'm just kidding. And so I don't really want to talk about me because it's not about me. Y'all didn't come here for me. Y'all came here to talk about kids. And so I want to talk a little bit about you and then talk a little bit about our kids. So just entertain me and really quickly think about the most important time that somebody told you you couldn't. For some of y'all, it has something to do with school. For some of y'all, it has something to do with a job, a check, a house, a car, a family. But everybody in this room has a time that's really important to them where somebody told them that they couldn't. And now think about when you proved them wrong. And think about the place that you were in. At Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, we've got over 400 scholars this year who are coming in with those same values: family, respect, excellence, and determination. They also have grit like I've never seen. They've got perseverance. You know the kind of perseverance that they have, because that was the kind of perseverance that it took to prove somebody wrong when they said you couldn't. So this year, every year thereafter, we're going to prove Detroit, Michigan, United States, and everybody else that we can, because this is Detroit, and we do put on for our city. And I just want to thank all of you for being in partnership with us. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a friend of ours, whether you are a staff of ours, whether you are family, because all of us will put the children at Jalen Rose Leadership Academy on our back to support them while they prove to the whole world that they can when a bunch of folks said that they couldn't. Thank you.
I've been sleeping a lot better since we hired her. You too, right, Michelle? You're sleeping a lot better. I'll tell you. Thank you to Seema and Nisha.
Come on.
We love you guys. Thank you to Ryan.
All right, folks. And so I'm waiting to grab Jalen. So the golf tournament is over. They're about to have the awards presentation. So I'm trying to actually grab him right now so we can chat with him live. Because one of the things that he talks about, and he said a number of times, is that the money that they get from the state, they cannot use on facilities or even sports. And so they actually have to use that money They actually have to raise that money themselves. And so that's one of the reasons why this golf tournament actually takes place, because that they have to raise those funds. And so it really is about raising lots and lots of money for their facilities, for their schools. And so that's what we are trying to grab Jalen. And so if I could get him in a second. So what we'll do here. So actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let's see if we can hear some of this here. So just give me a second. Here we go.
Has given out a leadership award in conjunction with the tournament. The award recognizes those who are truly dedicated to uplifting JRLA staff and scholars. To kick off the awards portion of the day, we'd like to take a moment to recognize the 2024 join us up here.
And I would like to personally thank Nikita, Kate, and Wendy for your support of JRLA. Your commitment to invest in the retention and development of high-impact educators working in under-resourced schools in Detroit has been paramount. And we definitely appreciate you and love you. We're grateful for you.
All right, let's give it up for Teach for America.
TFA has been an incredible partner. Thank you guys very much.
All right, before we get the awards started, we definitely want to say our thank yous to Tom Gores and Platinum Equity.
Yes.
And
yes.
we'd love to bring up
JD. I love y'all.
Yeah, we'd love to bring up JD or Ed.
Or both.
Or both. Yes. Make your way up here. Let's
Please,
clap it up for them.
And JD, can y'all please come up? And while they walk up, there's a time when you're a former athlete and you're retired and you're trying to figure out what's next. And you start working in the multimedia. And you want to open a school in your community. And you feel like you want to get people to support you and invest in you and take you serious. And these gentlemen found a way to look at me and say, I actually believe in your vision, Jalen. I think that's going to be a success story. So much so, I've never seen this gentleman and he's not giving me a check. He literally gives me a check every time he sees me. Both of these guys give it up. Like, we were standing outside of what was Vandenberg Elementary, and I was talking to them about JRLA. And imagine standing there, the windows are broken, it's a middle school, no plumbing is in the building, and I'm trying to tell and sell them why I'm going to start a school in this community. And so I thank my Platinum family, that's Dan, that's Sarah, that's my brother Tom Gores and his wife Platinum Equity for believing in this vision. But it started with these two gentlemen. And I love you and I'm grateful for you. Thank you. And they hate when I do this, but I have to. So, if you don't mind, please say no more.
There was no shock when I first met Jalen. We walked in front of the school and I said, oh my God, this is going to be a tough road home. And Jalen looked at us and said, you know, JD, this is not about private equity. It's not about, GM. It's not about big money. It's about kids getting an opportunity to be the best they can be. Jalen mentioned, gosh, I could talk all night, guys. Jalen talked about the zip code. And, you know, we kind of think that that isn't the reality, but it is reality. It is reality. And I grew up in Michigan. I grew up in an affluent community, East Lansing, Michigan. I lived in Birmingham. I didn't know. That's right. That's so great. I didn't realize the challenges in downtown Detroit. And listening to Jalen's story and understanding his value proposition and his commitment to the kids, Eddie and I said, you know, listen, we got to go back to town. And say, listen, let's invest in this guy because I think he's real. I mean, I used to tell the story. The first time we met at a flapjack shack at 7:30 in the morning. And I told him, it was a strategy. I said, how many NBA athletes are going to show up at a flapjack shack at 7:30 in February? It was 8 degrees out. I had a big hat on. He's all donkey, walking the big dog. And he was so polite, and we said, he didn't even eat great. That's not a pound of pancakes. And you didn't know how to ask for money back then.
I did.
It was interesting. You made money, but you didn't know how to ask.
I didn't know how to ask.
We know how to ask for money.
And it was 7:30 in the morning.
Anyway.
And take that lesson. It was 7:30 in the morning.
It was 7:30 in the morning. I knew it. And can you get there? Yeah. So anyway, Ed, please chime in here.
You know, I'd just like to say one thing. It's on behalf of Tom and Holly. You know, JD and I, after we sat that morning and had breakfast with you, you know, right away we took the phone, we called Tom and got him on the phone and said, listen, you know, we just had acquired the Pistons, and we said this would really be of value to Jalen, to the kids, the Pistons, and honestly, it was there's no question, it was boom. $200,000 and let's get this guy up and running and take care of the school. So Tom and Holly love children. That's the name of the game for them, and that's one of the reasons why they did what they did.
Thank you.
So,
but the important thing was, and I just kind of real quickly, is that, you know, and this is Tom and kind of how we operate, is okay, we're going to invest, we're going to work hard, but what will be the results? And what I'm hearing, 1,000 students graduated, 92% of the students who go there graduate. That's as high as Birmingham and Grosse Pointe. Just phenomenal stuff. And you're bringing in teachers, and the principal, where'd she go? She was phenomenal.
Jasmine, she's back there. She's incredible.
Yeah, she pops up and gets us all fired up. You got to have good staff. You got to have good investors. You got a good board, but you got to have a good guy.
Yes.
Here he is. Hard work. What are you doing?
Yes, hard work.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so that was great. Can you please give those two gentlemen a round of applause? Thank you so much, Platinum Equity. All right, now it's time to coin the champions of the day. But
Champ is here.
Absolutely. All right, so first up, Jalen.
So, folks, we're going to go ahead and do this here. We're going to go ahead and go to a commercial break, and we're going to come back to Detroit, where I am, of course, here with the Jalen Rose Leadership Classic. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
Get your raffle.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. Democracy in the United States is under siege. On this list of bad actors, it's easy to point out the Donald Trumps, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, or even the United States Supreme Court as the primary villains. But as David Pepper, author, scholar, and former politician himself says, there's another factor that trumps them all and resides much closer to many of our homes. His book is Laboratories of Autocracy, a wake-up call from behind the lines.
So these state houses get hijacked by the far right, then they gerrymander, they suppress the opposition, and that allows them to legislate in a way that doesn't reflect the people of that state.
David Pepper joins us on the next Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
On a next, A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie. How are you being of service to others? Doing for someone beside yourself is such a big part of living a balanced life. We'll talk about what that means, the generation that missed that message, and the price that we're all paying as a result.
Well, now all I see is mama getting up in the morning, going to work, maybe dropping me off at school, then coming back home at night. And then I really didn't have any type of time with the person that really was there to nurture me and prepare me and to show me what a life looked like and what service looked like.
That's all on the next A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, here at Black Star Network.
Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show. You're watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
Folks, we'll come back to talk to Jalen Rose in a minute, but we wanted to recognize the passing of Alma Powell. She died at the age of 86 years old. She was an audiologist, and she also was the chair of America's Promise, the nation's largest partnership dedicated to improving the lives of children and youth. She was the widow of General Colin Powell. They were married for 59 years. He died, of course, in 2021. I had an opportunity several years ago to interview her on my TV One's News One Now about America's Promise, and here is that conversation. For the past 20 years, Colin Powell and his wife Alma have been working with America's Promise, the organization that focuses on improving the lives of children in America. They're about to embark on a two-day summit in New York to deal with this very issue. And when I talked to Alma Powell, she made it clear why children are their priority.
Someone asked me once, why is it that in other countries children do so much better than they do here? I said, because they put great emphasis on the future of their young people, because they know it's the future of their country. And they provide for their education. Teachers are important. But here, whenever you want to cut the budget, it's the kids' issues that go first.
And so with America's Promise, I mean, so what exactly are you trying to do to bridge that gap or to impact policymakers to say you cannot leave out the next generation?
We don't deal with policymakers so much. We just go ahead and do what we're doing in the communities. Our aim is to provide supports around young people wherever they are that give them what they need to succeed. We call those
support.
We call those supports it is the basis of America's Promise. It's the 5 promises. A caring adult in every child's life, a healthy start, safe places to learn and grow after school, a marketable skill through an effective education, and then teaching them to give back. And so this work is done in communities, in schools, in churches, and we have over 420 partners around the United States who are providing these things. Caring adult is a mentor. There's a big organization called Mentor that has grown considerably in the past 20 years since we began America's Promise. They were one of our founders. We worked through our policy arm at the time to ensure the children's health insurance plan. We probably have to fight for that again, but right now it is in effect. Boys and Girls Clubs, all of those after-school programs that exist around, they take the place of safe places to learn and grow.
How do you measure results?
By what we see, by the way we see young people turn out in the communities where we work. Right here in the district, we have a program, or we have assisted with a program, we didn't institute it. There is the DC Promise Neighborhood, where the children are surrounded by all 5 of those promises. Early education starts at 6 weeks old. There's an Educare Center there that takes care of young people from 6 weeks old up until kindergarten or pre-kindergarten. Elementary school next door, middle school, high school, health things brought into the community. Children's Hospital brings in a medical van. There's a dental van, providing all 5 of those things. And children are encouraged, and programs are set around to give them an opportunity to give back to their communities. That, in essence, is what we would like to see all over this country.
And why this issue? Look, you could be involved in all kind of stuff, but why this?
This is the future of our country. We have had the sheer joy of raising 3 children and nurturing a new generation, but to whom much is given, much is expected. And our children in this country are the most important resource that we have. If we do not provide them with the assets they need to grow up to be strong, healthy individuals, our country has no future.
What type of, I understand you've done some polling to get a sense of what young folks say they want and what they say they need.
We have to ask the kids what it is they need and how they are reacting to what is given to them. They have done 2 studies up there. The second one was called Don't Quit on Me. And young people express that they need adults in their lives and don't just stay there for a little while. One gentleman said to me one time when I was explaining this to him, he said, "Oh, I got a little free time. I could mentor somebody." I said, "Don't start if you're not going to stay there. Because this child, whoever it is, has to be able to depend on you. You have to have his back all the time. And it is important, and fortunately, there are hundreds and hundreds of people in this country who are doing just that."
One of the things that I think is also interesting when you talk about America's future that we don't do a good job at is giving the proper guidance when it comes to careers, what's down the path. Because somebody says, "Oh, I want to do this," but if the research shows those jobs are not going to be available, it's not going to happen. And I've been a huge proponent when you talk about the lack of, I think, enough guidance counselors in high school, really giving folks, the right information. I do a lot of it when I'm talking to journalism students, and they say, "Well, I want to go get my master's," and I go, "For what?" In this industry, you need the skill set, and you're just adding more debt. And they look at me like I'm crazy, and they go, "I never heard any of this stuff."
Yes, we don't have enough of that, and unfortunately, guidance counselors' positions are among those that are first cut too when they are trying to trim down school budgets. My daughter-in-law worked as a guidance counselor in the high school where her children were, and the year after she left, that position was eliminated, and the position of the only person who could speak Spanish and talk to the parents of those children. So there were going to be a whole population there that was floundering around with no guidance. They need to start working on this, and we try to emphasize that when we talk to people about their caring adults and so forth. I just heard a discussion on the radio the other day about how many jobs there are available with nobody to take them. I spoke once to the head of the Association of Manufacturers who said, "We've got jobs, we've got nobody to take them." I said, "Grow your own. Grow your own. Go out there.
Build your bench."
That's right. Mentor young people, bring them into the business, teach them the business, and grow your own workforce. And we need to look at that as we go along in every single field. CVS drugstores used to have a program like that. I'm not sure that it still exists, but it was very effective in the first years after the summit, where they went into high schools and mentored young people who were interested in science, brought them into the drugstore as interns, helped them go to pharmacy school, and then gave them a job. And that's the kind of thing that will work to help our workforce.
Let's talk about your upcoming event in New York City. Explain that.
Well, the event in New York City is a recap of the summit in 1997. We are celebrating 20 years of service to the young people of this nation. It will be 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, with lots of sessions talking about the needs of children again and how we go forth into this 21st century. We have to realize that jobs that existed 5 years ago don't exist today, and some of those today are not going to exist 5 years from now. And so we have to talk about what is the basis that we can give children to provide them for whatever the job market is. And so we know from experience that if they have these basic things behind them and a solid foundation under them, then they can go forth to meet whatever challenge it is they need.
So this will be focused on the first 20. what would you want the story to be 20 years from now about America's Promise?
20 years from now, I would hope that the idea of America's Promise has permeated America's society, and they know that everybody has a responsibility to these kids, that more and more people are involved in it in a very deep way, knowing that we as the adults have the responsibility for providing for our young people.
All right. Alma Powell, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.
A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge.
Bill Flom, come on up here.
All right, folks, again, so sad to hear the passing of Alma Powell, and so certainly condolences go out to her children, including Michael Powell, former chair of the Federal Communications Commission. Really, she was a phenomenal sister. She was more than just Colin Powell's wife. She was an accomplished woman within her own right, and so we certainly salute her as well. Folks, in this political environment that we see, a lot of energy out of here, including what's happening on the comedy stage. And so how are comedians dealing with this particular race, Donald Trump and now Vice President Kamala Harris? Well, Earthquake joins us right now. Earthquake, glad to have you with us. And so, again, look, comedians have long made fun of this idiot Donald Trump, but you got a whole new dynamic now with Vice President Kamala Harris. What are you seeing and hearing among your fellow comedians?
Well, I mean, we trying to support the sister, and I challenge all brothers for once. Can we just support a sister unconditionally? She's qualified. She deserves it, and compared to her challenger, there's no comparison. And I'm anxious and willing to do whatever it takes to get a sister from a HBCU from where I'm from, Washington, D.C., where she went to school by way of Oakland, to see her to be the first female president who happened to be a sister.
Well, of course, Earthquake, you got to get your thoughts on this. You've got a lot of these rappers, most of them we ain't never heard of, vouching for Donald Trump. I can't remember that child who spoke at the convention who they claim she a rapper, but I don't know what the hell she is, Amber Rose. And so folk been lighting them up on social media. What do you make of that?
Well, I'm just going to tell them when his policies affect somebody in their life, don't knock on my door to ask me to march nowhere, because there's going to be consequences and repercussions that comes along if you allow him to be, president of the United States. And every time we lose one of our soldiers or sisters by the hands of police, this man wants to make sure that they're immune to prosecution because they was just doing their official act on their job. So I just don't understand it personally. I think it's just clickbait so we could talk about them. But they got to find another way to get attention than that from me. I'm looking at the issues where they come to. This is very important. This man is telling us right there in his own way that he's going to be a dictator. And he's already told us that if he loses, the only way he loses because it's rigged. And a person such as myself being in the military for 9 years, and the reason why we had many wars or deterred wars is because we fought for democracy. For a person to sit up there and say the only way that he could lose if it's rigged. I mean, so the same people that had so much problem with Kaepernick taking a knee for doing the national anthem, and I want them to show that same energy for a person that's telling you right now that our democracy is rigged even for one vote has been cast.
Questions from my panel. Let's go to Amakongo. You first. Your question for Earthquake.
Thank you so much for everything that you're doing and speaking up, and just there's so much I want to say in terms of my appreciation for what you're doing. But my question for you is, what do you say to other artists in different fields? You're talking about, comedy, but when I see other hip hop artists and other folks who have been so slow to get engaged in this political process, and some are still not speaking up now, even with Kamala, and what do you say to them in terms of why they should get involved, like you are involved?
Well, I mean, to be honest, it's for self-survival. I mean, for one reason in my community, when one of us we do something, they're looking for perfection. But when they vote for the others or anybody else, they overlook their character flaws or any flaws that they have. And I want to tell them this for once, and I challenge all black men, can we just once support a sister unconditionally? No, she is not perfect. No one is. But compared to her competition, there ain't even no close comparison. I mean, she's more than qualified. Her competitor has no qualification. And if you was to take both of their names off of a sheet of paper and list all their qualifications, hey, man, you could see there is no comparison. I mean, they just don't understand the significance of this point right here and how them not, first of all, not being part of this and not using a platform to push this, how it's affecting all of us. And the ignorance can't be tolerated right now.
Please put your hands together.
All right, question, Renita. Your question for Earthquake.
Thanks, Earthquake, for being here. Just a quick question. What are you seeing in your community as it relates to the shift from Biden as the candidate to Kamala? You've talked a lot about black men tonight in your interview, so I guess I'm specifically asking you in the response in seeing Kamala move into this position.
Well, I think Kamala is the person to articulate. You know, unfortunately, President Biden could articulate the difference between the issues the way he wanted to, so they was running roughshod around him. I think any man that dates black women like I have done all my life, you can't beat a black woman in a debate, especially when she got the facts on her side. So I wish him the best of luck. I have yet to ever, and I think I'm great with words, have never beat a black woman when the facts is on her side. I don't want to talk about it today.
Julianne, your question for Earthquake.
Okay, so this is for you guys.
Okay, first of all, thank you for your work. Very, very commendable. And we look at your school and look at the what do you see in 10 years with your school? Will you incorporate some global travel and some other things for the young people?
Well, I'm not into the school myself, sister. I'm more of a you know, I use my platform to just really, to be honest, with my radio show, when I'm on stage and everything I do, just to educate the people that's in my position to say that they cannot stand on the sideline for this. And that I just heard Ms. Powell, rest in peace, that our children is our future and we must let them know that, you know, there's no sense of dying for Mercedes-Benz 2024, because they're going to make a one in 25, 26, 27.
There you go. Well, thanks for the education that you're giving to our young people. What are your hopes and dreams for young people, though?
I mean, to be better than we are, to expand us, to show them that, personally speaking, that's just on my personal feeling, that we're some of the greatest people that God has ever created, creatively. We have done so much with so less. We're still surviving. There is no other race that could survive what we've been through. And I always tell people all the time that black people are the most patriotic people in the world, because we love this country, support this country when this country didn't support and love us.
Thank you.
All right, Earthquake, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Well, thank you, man. And make sure, man, tell everybody come see me at the MGM on the 30th and 31st. I'm going to be home in D.C. for Big 2 shows. And Roland cannot dance.
We've done it for so many years. And I just want to say,
I don't know why you keep sitting here embarrassing yourself by saying that, because you know you're going to get jacked up. So go on ahead. Go on, get off this show before I embarrass you further with your no dancing behind. 2 left feet.
I'm gonna eat your chicken like that chick did. I'm going to eat you up the same way.
Okay, Mr. Knock-Knee. I'll holler at you later.
I love you, man. Keep doing the good fight, man. I love you, man.
I appreciate it.
Good fight. Peace.
I will do. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. We got more of the show, but let me thank the panel. Let me thank Renita. Let me thank Juliana. Let me thank Amakongo. Appreciate y'all being on today's panel. Folks, hold tight 1 second and go into a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Me, Sherry Shepard, and you know what you're watching, Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, we're back at the Jalen Rose Celebrity Golf Classic. I'm, of course, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network, Detroit Golf Club. So the golf tournament just ended. They gave the awards out. Joining us right now is somebody who is a newbie to the game of golf. I have been watching her videos on Instagram. It has been quite painful. So I've had to actually send personalized videos to her to assist, of course, journalist, sports journalist, Detroit native, even though she's a 49ers fan, Jamel Hill.
Putting all my business in the street.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, you know, I'm actually from Houston, cheer for all my teams, as opposed to being from a city and you cheer for somebody way the hell on the West Coast.
You don't know what that struggle was like, okay? Like growing up.
We had the Oilers.
I know, you did, but at least they gave you.
Well, we did have a damn good team with Earl Campbell. Y'all didn't have nobody.
No, it didn't start to turn a little corner till Barry. By that time, I was already too deep in my fandom. But glad to see you're in our city, and he is not lying. I will get random golf videos from Roland all the time, most of which are helpful. And I'm like, are you trying to tell me something? I'm a newbie. I'm just getting into this.
Right. You're a newbie.
I'm getting into this. Like, I mean, I heard you was kind of killing it out there on the golf course. That's what I heard.
That's true. I was. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I was golfing my ball.
But glad that you're here in our city. I know you've been here many, many times, but glad that you're here and supporting this wonderful cause.
Absolutely. So talk about, again, what Jalen is doing with this school and just how crucial that is.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, listen, you know, Detroit is a city that's had many stunted comebacks, right? It's kind of going like up, down, and Jalen is part of, you know, he got in on the ground floor before it was fashionable to invest in Detroit, before people really saw any real value and worth, and to do that through education is huge. And I like to think that LeBron James starting his own school in Akron, in some ways, he was influenced by Jalen Rose, because to have a school for nearly 15 years and to produce some incredibly talented young people. I mean, Jalen is one of our shining stars of the city. He is one of the unofficial mayors of Detroit, absolutely. So I couldn't be more proud of him. And just to see where he's taking this from when the seed was first planted, when he first started coming out and talking about how he wanted to build a school, to see where it is now, it's really remarkable progress.
And for folks who don't know, this is not Jalen just slapping his name on it. He's really involved in the school.
Correct. He is really running it. And, you know, you could tell that he takes so much pride in making sure that it's excellent in every way. And so as a Detroiter, it would be unfathomable not to support this. And I'm just really proud of him and proud of like all these investors that he's brought in and other people who can see that Detroit has a lot of bright spots. Like, I know a lot of times we only make the news for the wrong reasons, right? But Detroit is one of those cities that is tough. It's got a gritty interior because nobody puts on for Detroit the way people from Detroit put on for Detroit.
Last question for you. I got a text message moments ago that Donald Trump will be speaking Wednesday. at the National Association of Black Journalists. Somebody just sent me a text. I hit a couple of people, black people close to Trump, see if that's true. And I told NABJ, don't let his ass go up in that lion.
I agree. Like in many ways, I think it's a good thing because look, Trump has continued to tout all these sort of false numbers about what he's done for black people during the course of his presidency. And this is an opportunity for him to be before, some of the most highlighted, celebrated journalists in the country who understand what it means to have a black agenda and what that actually is. So I don't know if they're picking you or who is sitting down with him for the fireside chat, but yes, he needs to be in a forum where he is questioned about a lot of the things that he said and done. And I have to say, part of the reason why I didn't believe it was because I didn't think he had the guts to sit before 3,000 journalists and explain some of the things that he has said about our people, our community, and the policies. I mean, look, we all know what's in Project 2025, and he's tried to distance himself from that, but we know that's a lie. All his surrogates, they were the ones who came up with this, and he has sanctioned this both publicly and privately. So he needs to answer for all those people who are like, I'm an independent thinker, all you black people who have said that. Now you get an opportunity to hear what he actually has to say from people who I hope will question him in the way that he needs to be questioned. But I'm shocked. I got to be honest.
It's still Monday, so supposed to be Wednesday. So,
well, let me get this straight. So, I mean, according to, he hasn't set a debate with VP Harris, and I know she's not officially.
He's made it. He says he's not going to participate in the September 10th debate.
Okay, so he's going to sit before that many black journalists, but may or may not debate the presidential nominee. Some math ain't mathing to me. I gotta see it. I gotta see it.
I'm waiting. So I hit one of his black people, and they said they talking one of his black people. So they said they talking to him at 8 o'clock, and the person's gonna ask him if this is true.
Again, I hope it is true, because if he has an agenda and something specific other than law and order that he would like to share with the black community, here's your forum to do it.
All right, we'll see.
We'll see.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, back to the driving range.
Keep sending me them golf tips.
Yeah, I got it. Come on, Oakley. All right, y'all. So, one of the greatest enforcers in the NBA, Charles Oakley. Oh, he said he the only one. Of course, what school you went to in Virginia?
Virginia Union,
Well, I want you to say, everybody watching.
Virginia Union, one of the best historic black colleges it is. It's a lot of them. I give them their prop. I like what Deion done when he went to Jacksonville State and made them a relevant.
Jackson State.
And then what he doing? He just gave opportunity for black kids to go. Let them know it's okay to go to black school.
Gotcha. And so, how's your golf game?
Golf game is good. He just take a lot of practice. And I'm getting there, like I said, Rome wasn't built overnight, so it takes time.
Did you fight anybody in the course today?
No, I don't do that no more. I gave it up about 10 years ago.
10?
Yeah, 10 years. 10 years ago.
Official or unofficial?
Official.
All right. Well, a lot of people may not realize is you are a major chef. Yeah. When did that start?
It started probably like my second year in the league. I was a kid that, my parents, my aunts and my, grandparents was a great cook. And I think once you get into the league that, you're single, you got to make your own way around the kitchen and other places too. But it was just coming back from the road trips. I didn't want to go back out and just eat the same thing. And I just, just put little things together, started inviting guys over, hey, it was a good thing. Being a leader and having structure is always go a long way when you got a group of guys around.
All right, tell people quickly about your book. Great book. I've read it.
Yes, The Last Enforcer. It's just a memoir of my life and how my grandparents and my mom and all my family members who helped raise me. But there's a lot of stories about the NBA and just a lot of good reading and laid back. You'll really like the book.
All right, man. It was always good to see you. Keep handling your business.
I will. You too. You the man.
Well, we trying.
I told you my nephew is a alpha. So
that's right.
The black and gold.
Tell him 06. All right. Appreciate it, baby. Appreciate it. All right. We trying to get Jalen. Hey, Jalen. Where's Jalen? Tell Jalen we live. Can somebody tell Jalen we are actually live, waiting on him? I'm out here broadcasting from his golf tournament. I'm waiting to interview him, and he late. I'm trying, come on, Jalen. Mariah,
Where's Jalen? Can you let Jalen know we're live and I need him like in the flesh? My goodness. All right, let's do this here, folks. We lost a great sister, Erica Ash. Let's do this here. Let's play our in memoriam for Erica Ash. I'll come back, talk about her. We're going to play a package about her, and then we're going to actually interview Jalen Rose. So let's go ahead and do that. Folks, we were stunned. I was here playing. We're in a rain delay, and I saw a social media post. Someone texted me that Erica Ash had passed away. I was stunned. I immediately jumped up, called her cell phone, called some folks who were in shows with her, Survivor's Remorse. She was in, Real Husband of Hollywood, and then I got a call from a very close friend of hers who's an actor who said, yeah, we lost her. She had cancer, and she died last night. Stunned. I adored Erica. We had her on my shows. Every time we saw each other, it was always great. I was in L.A. during COVID, and we had a long conversation. We went to dinner. She had broken her back in Mexico, was almost paralyzed, and she talked about just all the stuff that she went through during COVID. And I just lost for words because she was so vibrant. She was so amazing. She was so fantastic, was full of energy. But she had been battling cancer, a mom released a statement, for 18 years. She never talked about it. She never talked about battling breast cancer. And so many people have been talking about remembering her. We sat down with her and Jussie T. Usher. I talked to him earlier today, and he was stunned hearing the news at the American Black Film Festival when I was at TV One. And so here's that conversation. You started last season, and so
disclaimer.
Your Mike Epps character dies, and it was a little heavy.
It was very heavy
for basically the entire season. It picked up in like the last 2 or 3, but
it took a dark turn, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like it went to dark
I was kind of like, okay, did the comedy leave? Can we get it?
Yeah, it turned to dark comedy, but I think it was our homage to him and what he meant to our family. I understand how some of the fans would be like, all right, but I think I feel like it turned around after like maybe the 3rd episode.
I gave it the 5th.
Really?
It was still.
It was a cloud that it stayed with us for a little bit, and then we had to find ways to bring the comedy back into that. No, I understand what you're saying.
Exactly what it felt like.
Right. Yeah.
What it felt like.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that we did, and I think that was one of the biggest challenges for us, like in growing our characters and figuring out what life meant after Uncle Julius. That was, a challenge for the writers and a challenge for us to find the funny and what material we were presented. And so, I think when we found it, we found it.
And then, of course, which is a natural part of life anyway, because you experience heartbreak, you experience things along those lines, but you still have to have, life still has to go on.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Absolutely.
All right, so this upcoming season, so the promos are saying you're back on the court. Okay, we don't know what that means. That's just what they say.
The proverbial court, home court, if you will. Right. You're not going to see him play basketball.
Okay.
That was a strategic decision, right?
Okay.
Absolutely. That's a whole other can of worms you have to open.
Right.
If you have to get players, you got to get cheerleaders, you got to get, thoughts. It's a whole bunch of stuff.
You got to get thoughts.
You got to get thoughts.
Got to have thoughts.
What's a good playoff game without a couple thoughts?
Precisely.
Right. And we wanted to keep the focus on the family. And so if you bring in that element, it takes the focus away, and then you've got to kind of juggle two storylines, two separate sides of the storyline.
Well, right, and so really, the reality is
the basketball piece has always sort of been the thing in the background. So it's kind of like, you're a player, but here's the other side of it.
Absolutely.
So you got, your character was a little, it's always been ignorant. Has always been ignorant.
This is that defiant palsy.
No, I mean, let's just be real. I mean, whether or not it was freaking the other woman in the bathroom at the club.
We just talked about that.
We did.
And she was talking about how, you know, how she goes into the writer's room and, you know, that she brings up these storylines and she talks about where she wants the character to go and how great they are at involving that into, you know, what comes to life. And I was saying, so that one was...
that was not mine.
You sure?
That was not mine.
That seemed like an idea that you might have said.
It was not mine.
You know, like, I want to get some excitement into M. Chuck's life, and I'm thinking about doing this thing.
They actually did bring that to me, and they were like, okay, listen, we haven't gotten anything juicy from you in terms of that. So can we get a little something? And I was like, okay, let's do it.
So if you could say in a few words what people should expect, not giving anything away, with new season, what is that?
You're definitely going to be able to expect resolution. You're going to be able to expect
self-discovery.
And ignorance.
Lots of ignorance.
As is the survival.
But also like a change in the power dynamic. You see that happen a lot amongst the characters. You know, how they deal with each other as well as the world around them. Like, it changes a lot in the fourth season.
But also, your show is now grown up because when you debuted, you were paired with, I think you came on Saturdays. When you launched, and then what did they pair it with? It was like you were on.
We were standalone.
We were standalone, but I remember how they marketed it. Now you're pushed into August, because now people kind of like, yo, what the hell? Now we got to wait another month.
Right.
What's up for the show?
Right.
And so it feels even more like you're sort of this standalone show. I'm watching how Stars is. I'm watching how they're stacking shows. I'm watching how. So I see Power debuting later in June or whatever, and y'all launching literally 2 months after them.
Yeah, basically when they're finished is when we're gonna jump in, you know. But last season they paired us right after Power, so Power would air and then immediately after Survivor.
That's what I'm saying. So now.
Now I feel like we might have. I feel like maybe we've earned.
I'm saying y'all grown up.
We've grown up.
Like, we got our own thing.
We got our own thing. And it's a Sunday night.
Tripled last season from the season before, and so and a lot of that is people talking about it. We haven't done so much more in terms of our publicity and press, and so it's just that the word is really spreading. You know, we definitely got a leg up going after Power last season, so that was helpful because a lot of people just didn't know where to find us, and so then once they were able to find us, it's like, oh wait, what's this show? Then they got reeled in, and then now we have our legs underneath us.
And the social media aspect as well, being able to really go back and forth with communicating with folks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's one of my favorite parts about being on the show is get to talk to people like during the premiere and like right after. That's one of the best parts, to see their reaction to the work that we put in, because we put in a lot of preparation, a lot of work. Put a lot of work.
So how many episodes this year?
10.
10 episodes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're certainly looking forward to it. And again, tell Mike I'm still expecting there to be an interview moment with your basketball playing character and an ascot wearing journalist. I don't understand what the problem is. I don't understand why.
Why is Roland Martin not on the show?
I'm just saying. I mean,
season 5 we have one mission.
I'm just saying.
We got one mission.
I'm just saying.
Him in it.
I mean, there are very few shows I live tweet to my 1.5 million followers. I'm just saying.
Just saying.
Give a little. That I put the Roro stamp on, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying, Mike. It'd be nice. You got other people extras. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Can you have a news conference and I'm sitting there? I'm just saying.
Right.
I mean, it ain't that hard.
It's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know what? I don't know why this just came to me, but maybe when we do our writers pitch meeting,
I was just thinking that
let's pitch Roland.
At the beginning of every year, they always say, like, what direction you want the show to go in, what you thinking about the character, this and that. I'm gonna say, there's something that's been missing.
See, I got a better one. See, y'all let me know when y'all don't have a writers pitch meeting,
and you want to come in,
you say we got an idea, then boom, doors open.
You're gonna walk out,
and he walks in.
Ascot with 2 cameras and some lights.
and they still not gonna know what the heck we talking about.
Oh, they gonna know. They're gonna be like, figure it out.
Oh, man, I am absolutely going to miss her. Every time we got together, it was laughs and jokes and a serious conversation, too. But Erica Ash, y'all, was a beautiful soul. I adored her. It was, when that night, we all went out and hung out and partied. And so we're absolutely going to miss her. 46 years old. And folks, that just tell you, you got to live life. I tell you, my hashtag is hashtag live life, love it. That's what you have to do. And you got no choice. So Erica Ash, dead at the age of 46. All right, folks, we're going to go to a quick break and come right back. We're going to chat with Jalen Rose. His golf tournament is over. We're going to talk about his school, this tournament, and some good stuff. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network live at the Detroit Golf Club here for the 14th annual Jalen Rose Celebrity Golf Classic.
Good job, good pay, good life. Would you be willing to walk away from it to achieve real wealth? Well, that's exactly what this woman did, and boy, did it pay off.
Once you make the decision that this is the direction that you're going to go in, I do believe that there's power in having a decided heart.
Hear her story on The Next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, on Black Star Network.
Me, Sherry Shepard, with Sammy Roman.
I'm Dr. Robin B., pharmacist and fitness coach, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered here on the Black Star Network. So last couple of years, I was like, say, bro, you invited me to the golf tournament. I had schedule issues for a couple of anyway, but Jalen hit me about a month ago and said, man, I got to have you at the tournament. Yeah. And so we're here. And, of course, you know, wherever I go, I bring my cameras with me. Mm-hmm. And so we're doing the show here. And so joining us right now is Jalen Rose. Man, you have this 14th year for this tournament, benefiting for your school. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to Jamel earlier, and I tell people, you actually, it ain't like your name on it. You're involved in the school.
Yes. And it's a labor of love, Roland, and I thank you and Black Star Network for being here. You know, I'm a huge fan of yours and Roland Martin Unfiltered being here to cover it. And you helped me sleep good last night because sometimes I get very frustrated because I understand that white media in a lot of ways won't promote the work that we're doing because my school is 100% black. It's in the inner city, and we influence high school kids. Normally when people come to influence our community, they do it when we're small. And I'm going to teach you a reason why. Because we're not as threatening. We're not a Tamir Rice. We're not a young person that they feel like, okay, may be a threat. So they want to get us when we're second grade, third grade, where you have parental involvement. So I opened up a school, not politically driven, not a part of a network. We're open enrollment, we're tuition free, we're public charter. And I literally wanted to start with high school young people because we're underserved. The United States sells us a dream that you're going to get a high school diploma. You throw your hat in the air, whee! But you can't work at McDonald's with a high school diploma. So we instituted a 9 through 16 model, 2-year, 4-year college, cosmetology, trade school, military, whatever young people choose to get into, I'm there to support them. So 14 years, 10 graduating classes, 400 in high school, another 1,000 alums. And I used to, like I said, get very mad at the love we didn't get. Because for you to be the number one person in the game doing what you do, it means everything to me, for you to be here. So I thank you and your team.
Man, I appreciate it. You had the student volunteers. I talked to a couple of them earlier as well. And one of the things that you made clear why you have to have this tournament, and look, I'm very familiar with charter schools. I've covered the issues for years, is that the resources that you get goes to the education of the kids, not the facilities at all.
At all. And here's the thing about, I've been in so many legislative meetings where it's like public school versus charter school, and newsflash, we are a public school. And what I learned is the UAW and the teachers union are the number 1 and 2 donors of the Democratic Party. So therefore, the teachers are fighting to keep what they consider an opportunity to keep their jobs forever. So if you come to a charter school, you forfeit that. It's called tenure. If you go and be a teacher 2 or 3 years, you get tenure, you can put your feet on the desk, Roland. And you have to literally sexually assault a kid live on camera to lose your job. But those that choose to go to charter schools, they give up their tenure. And that is what makes it political. So they talk to us about stealing their students. No, we're educating young people. And as somebody that went to a public school in Detroit, that founded a charter school in Detroit, I understand the impact that this has on young people. And so it's very gratifying to continue to raise money and put them in positions to be successful. And we can't be stopped.
And see, the thing that I tell folks, I mean, you might have a traditional school that's been failing for a long time.
Yeah.
They'll build a new facility that could be 30, 40, 50, $60 million, and it's no big deal, but it can't happen here. And also, it's a delivery system. There are multiple ways to educate kids. And so people always ask me, man, how can you be black and you support charter schools? I said, listen, I went to public schools my entire life. I believe in every form of education if it works. If it don't work, my whole deal is shut it down.
Anybody that says, how can you be black and believe in charter schools, is almost like somebody that's black and want to vote for Trump. Like, that's literally how I digest what you just said. We are a public school. We're underfunded. We're tuition free. We public charter. I took over an elementary school and converted it into a high school. The building was an eyesore. The windows were broken. The plumbing was taken out. It was literally an eyesore in the community. And I took that facility and turned it into a high school that educated high school kids, that continued to support young people once they graduated from high school. So the idea that we're not doing the work that's 10 toes down and planting the seed, that's just not accurate. That's ignorant. And if you're perpetuating that tale, you just don't understand the work that we do.
One of the things that, and one of the other reasons why I wanted to be here is because, now we did this going back years. When I was at Washington Watch with TV One, where we went to the NBA All-Star game, and we covered all of the philanthropic things that athletes were doing. So I think one of the problems that what media does, media focuses on athletes, they focus on cars, they focus on jewelry, they focus on all bling bling, and then when one retires, all the stories about who went broke, things along those lines. But there are many former athletes who are still involved in the community, who are still doing work, and there's life after sports. And so it's important to show that so people understand that you can do more than just bounce a ball, throw a ball, or catch a ball.
Absolutely. And I love the movie Rocky, and I use this for inspiration. It's like the world is a mean and nasty place. It'll beat you to your knees and keep you there if you let it. It's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep on going. And there's so many times I got frustrated, Roland. Like, I'm the first former athlete to have a podcast or entertainer. I'm one of the only athletes or entertainers to be the founder, the president of the board, and the chief fundraiser of his own school in the neighborhood that he grew up in. So when I go to bed at night, I look at the landscape way different than everybody else. And sometimes I really get frustrated, not only at what I'll call mass media, but also our people. Because I got to tell you, Roland, you're here to cover us. You ain't got to fight nobody for elbow room. Ain't nobody else here.
Right.
I see people with radio shows, TV shows, podcasts, and I'm going to challenge our people. We got to stop only showing up when we getting paid. Y'all come to the hood. Y'all want to sell us your podcast. You want to sell us your weed. You want to sell us your liquor. You want us to follow your movement. You want us to buy your book. But you're not showing up when you're not getting paid. And that used to frustrate me so much. And then I started to invest in the people that actually get on the airplane, bring their show here, and take the time to highlight the work that we're doing, to love on the people that are investing their money, their energy into our young people. And so that allowed me to kind of decompress and just continue the path forward, because I hear a lot of false prophets in our community talking about the work they're doing, talking about the work they're going to do. But we 14 years in, 10 graduating classes, we got 1,400 students, and it speaks for itself.
Well, that's one of the reasons why, look, I got a bunch of these people out here that call themselves New Black Media, and they always say, oh, y'all old, you ain't doing nothing. I'm like, but it's amazing how much black stuff I go to, and they ain't never there. And that's also why I tell our audience, why they got to support us when we're fighting the advertising battle against these advertisers who won't invest in black-owned media. Yes. But also why giving to shows is important, because their resources allows me to be able to travel here other places and cover these stories. And as you said, yeah, there were a couple of media, but for the most part, no. And we're in Detroit. Where's the black media in Detroit?
Where's the black media in Detroit? Where's the black media on IG, on Twitter, or X? Where's the black media that has radio shows, podcasts, that talk about giving back to our culture? Like, this is what I do. I'm 10 toes down. You see the work that's happening. And it be crickets when it's time to support one another. So I'm forever grateful for you, my brother. You're a terrific golfer, but I love the fact that you brought your show here. I want you to know you bringing your show here means everything to me, my brother, because the work that we do ain't going to be on the header of your IG. It's not going to be on the front page of the newspaper. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm educating inner city high school black kids.
Yep.
That's why. If I didn't look like me and I was from a different demographic, I might could run for president of the United States. But since I'm me doing this work in Detroit, it's going to be dismissed. It's going to be ignored. So I'm going to continue to do the work, and I'm very grateful that you showed up today.
For folks out there, if they want to support, where do they go? What's the website to go to support Jalen Rose Leadership Academy?
Please go to jrladetroit.com. We have 15,000 Trojan, Detroit, Michigan, 48235. You can call the school. I basically am there all of the time, and we need and support. We need your support. Let me give you an example. I went to the University of Michigan, and I love the Maize and Blue, but they've been fundraising for that school since the 1800s. They always need a new building. They always need a new curriculum. They always need something else to support what they're doing.
And they got a multi-billion-dollar endowment.
And so what I want to ask you is stand on it. When you come to Detroit, artists, athletes, entertainer, put up at the school. Our kids look up to you.
Yeah, drive by.
They idolize you. They want to be like you. They want to meet you. To any donors, put another 0 on that donation. Because if you're able to allow me to take lemons and create lemonade, I've shown you I can change lives.
That's it. My brother.
I love you, brother.
Great job. Congratulations.
Yes,
Keep doing the thing. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yes,
Thanks a bunch. All right, folks. Jalen Rose. That is it for us here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. I want to thank everybody. He has some wonderful celebrities, cats who are here, and always good to see all of them. And so we thank all of you as well. We're gonna appreciate it, baby. We're gonna have the Master P and Ben Crump interviews. We're gonna hold those tomorrow. So here's the deal. Tomorrow, I'm gonna be in Chicago. Tomorrow, I'm leaving Detroit tomorrow morning to go to Chicago. At noon, there's a rally for Sonia Massey that is taking place in Chicago at 6 p.m. Chicago time, 7 p.m. Eastern. There's going to be a mass rally taking place for her at a church there. Give me a second. Just give me a second. Ben Crump sent this to me. Give me 1 second. Let me let y'all know where it is. Hold on. Here it is. It'll be taking place tomorrow at New Mount Pilgrim Church, 4301 West Washington Boulevard in Chicago at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We will be live from there tomorrow with the show. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live tomorrow, beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock Chicago time, covering the Sonia Massey News Conference at noon and this rally at a church at Mount Pilgrim tomorrow evening. And so we look forward to that. So I'm still going to be on the road, not back in D.C., so we want y'all to certainly support us in what we do. Again, how can you support us? Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing, on average, $50 each. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. If 20,000 of our fans contribute $50 each, that's $1 million. That goes to this show, being able to be able to cover the stories that matter to you. Because, listen, no one paid me to come here. No one's paying me to cover the Sonia Massey events tomorrow. We cover it because it's important to our community. So you can send your check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. And of course, be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, The Browning of America. It's making white folks lose their minds. Available at bookstores nationwide. Again, I want to thank everybody with the Jalen Rose Foundation, the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, for having us here, for the folks who helped get us power and things along those lines. Thank you so very much. Folks, that's it. I'll see you tomorrow from Chicago, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Oh, shout out to my sister Levita. Her birthday was yesterday, so happy birthday, Levita, on your birthday. All right, folks, that's it. I'll see you tomorrow from Chicago on the Black Star Network. Holla! Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
A real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All the momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home. You dig?